And a good morning and a big surprise for you this morning. We are live this morning, and we will be live tonight, but we will not be on site. We will be in studio. Juju and I will be here tonight in the studio for a simple reason. These Thunder Boomers rolling around worry me a little bit, and I'm not going to be outside of Three Hermanos. So we'll be in studio tonight. A couple things to get into. Ford's joining me this morning. I still don't have my camera right, and it's making me mad. But that's okay. I'll adjust it during the next break. Couple things going on that just want to talk a little bit about. First thing I want to do is I want to say I'm going to be a homer here. Congratulations to my Clemson Tigers in softball. Mm-hmm. They won their regional. They did not have a run scored against them in the entire regional. I want to say they had less than 4 or 5 hits against them in the entire regional. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to go take on Oklahoma State and the Cowboy Girls.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be really good.
But the Super Regionals will get started. Angela, your sister-in-law, Angela, we were talking yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I can watch it all day. I mean, when
no
the
doubt.
playoffs start, I just watch, and I don't care who's playing. I just watch game after game after game after game. So I really enjoy college softball, especially when it gets to this level. I watch it anyway. But one of the games that I watched last night, and this is what I wanted to ask you about because you will know and understand. One of the games I was watching last night was Mississippi State and Florida State. And Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken, had to come out of the loser's bracket and win 2 at the very end.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Now, here's my question to you, and tell me how much this affects softball, baseball, any of the bat ball, okay? All they talked about the whole time, there were 1 or 2 missed calls that were close, okay? But the thing that they kept emphasizing is how many runners Florida State left stranded after they got them on base and couldn't get them in. And softball, it's a little bit easier to advance those runners, I think, than in baseball. But I want to say they left 8 or 10 runners stranded that they could have been, kind of manufactured some runs. That's what Bobby Dale used to call it, was manufacturing runs.
That's what I was getting ready to say. So you're 100% right. And I think what we've seen over the years is softball, fast pitch. I mean, it's been around for, 60, 70 years, right? Mm-hmm. Women's and men's. But what we've seen in the college game, the ladies that have worked so hard and become so skilled, proficient, and efficient are so good at handling the bat. And when you have that dominant pitcher or 2, in some cases, or 3, that come in and they're just on that day. And to their credit, they hit a couple of balls that were hit well that defensive plays were made, right? Mm-hmm. So I just really enjoyed the speed of the game. I enjoyed the excitement of it. And most importantly, I enjoy the intensity of it.
And they do.
Laney, it feels like coaching football when it's 4th and goal from the 3, from the 2. Every pitch almost feels like that in softball to some degree because they're so serious. And I absolutely love it. And I think that's why it's thriving, because it means something to them. And when it means something to the people that play it, it really means something to the people that watch it because there's an investment, emotion, talent, all of these things. So it's really neat. I love watching.
And happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Bob, Milton.
Love you, Bob.
Thank you. And, Richie, that was the most runs scored in tournament history, if I'm not mistaken. Oklahoma beat A&M 20-0.
Yeah.
Well, Clemson wound up winning their last game in the championship bracket 8-0 in 5 because 8 runs, 5 innings. Yep,
right.
It's over.
I just, it's so interesting, too, like, of course, that score, and who was talking about the score? I can't see.
Richie.
Yeah, so it was like 20, was it 21?
20-0.
20-0, yeah. Mm-hmm. If they play 100 times, you may get that 1 or 2, right? But the point is Oklahoma is that good.
Yes.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And the fact of what Clemson has done, going from, I think,
3 years.
Not even having softball, is that right?
This is their 3rd year.
Yeah, right. So not even having it.
Brand new sport.
Which is very strange to me that was.
I think they don't have volleyball either, or they just recently started.
That especially with the amount of talent that you pull from the South.
And the ACC's had pretty good reputation nationwide.
Right. So I'm super glad to see that. there's just a lot of really good sports, I tell you, man, if we can get the football stuff worked out, the other stuff has worked itself out.
Yeah, but it was a great day of just watching college softball Saturday, Sunday. I love watching the games, but it's kind of like football. I'm dreading it because I know that it's coming to an end. It's winding down.
Yeah.
So I don't like that part. But other than that, I really enjoy watching it, and it's such good competition. Is the big thing.
Well, I think too the baseball, the regionals in baseball. Once you get past the conference tournaments, which are very exciting as well, the ACC's playing
start
in
tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think Andrew and the Bull are going down. Me and Gary are going to go with them, but I got a busy full day tomorrow. But exciting time. But when they start getting into regional and super regional play, the speed of the game is which a lot of people have an issue with. Really is a different style of animal then. So
Brian, I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh,
Richie said, and they made
Thank you,
made that comment yesterday too. Richie, this was the first time that a number 2 seed, FSU, has not made it out of the regional
in softball.
Because Florida State was host school.
Right, and which was smart, even though they were 2 seed. You'll see that a lot in college baseball too, because of the capacity and ability to host, and all the amenities that go with it, and the experience, the fan experience as well. There's such great. I don't know how to say it, but for the last several years, like if your top flight softball teams are the ones that. I think JMU snuck up on everybody. Didn't really sneak up, but had a really good year last year and kind of made it, far or whatever. But you don't see that happen a lot in softball like you do baseball, like with the Coastal Carolina, coming in and winning the World Series in 2016. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to see that competition. What that tells you is that other places, the competition's starting to. Yeah, the talent pool is starting to spread out. And the
and it is, and that's what's happening now. Here's what the ACC baseball championship schedule looks like. And you can explain this to me after I give this out. Okay, it's pool play to start with.
Yeah.
Pool A, B, C, and D.
That's right.
You got Virginia Tech, Carolina, Clemson. That's a 1, 8, and 12 in Pool A. You got Louisville, Georgia Tech, Pitt, and Pool B. That's a 2, 7, and 11.
Right.
Pool C is Miami, Wake, and State. 3, 6, and 10. Pool D is Notre Dame, Virginia, Florida State, 4, 5, and 9. Okay, so here's what your schedule is going to look like. Pitt and Georgia Tech at 11 o'clock, State and Wake Forest at 3, and then Clemson and Carolina play at 7 tomorrow night. Right. So how does the pool play? I mean, I see here Pool A winner versus Pool D winner on Saturday and B versus C on Saturday, and then you got the championship game.
Just for example.
Everybody plays everybody in the pool.
The reason they don't do – and I'm not saying 16 teams and things, but the reason they don't do double elimination, they do pool play, is because they can control the scheduling just like you're seeing. There's no if necessary, 2BA.
Right.
It's kind of like the American Legion World Series, right? The games on 9 innings with, baseball at that level, even in American Legion, at 9 innings was just too much for ESPN to carry because it could last
forever.
3.5 hours. Even with small, short commercials, right? So, but with college baseball, they can control the speed of the game a little bit more with the skill set that's involved. In most cases, cut down on unnecessary stuff, keep the game going, but also, Laney, the time slots and the games that are played are predictable all the way through. Therefore, scheduling for TV, that's why, to answer your question. Okay.
Here's what the softball super regionals look like. It'll be Virginia versus Florida, and I think Virginia Tech, and I think that one is at Virginia Tech because they're a 3 seed. And then you've got Stanford and Oregon State. And I'll tell you about Stanford. Stanford was one that eliminated Alabama. I mean, the other two was in that regional, Murray State and Chattanooga, not taking anything away from them, not on the same level as Stanford and Alabama.
Oh, these are supers. Yeah, I got you.
This is super. This will be Stanford and Oregon State.
Yeah.
It'll be Oklahoma State and Clemson, and they're hosted there. And Oklahoma State is, and then Mississippi State and Arizona. Both those teams were unranked. And they're coming into that. Arkansas and Texas. Arkansas is a team to contend with. I can tell you that one. They are pretty tough, and I think that is in Fayetteville.
I think another ACC team.
UCLA and Duke.
Duke.
Yep.
Well, yes. Okay.
Duke will be at UCLA. That's a 5 and a 12. And you've got Arizona State, who is another terrific softball powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
They
Them
can
and
play
Arizona are amazing.
And they take on Northwestern.
Ooh.
And
wow, how about that?
Northwestern was in the regional that defeated Notre Dame. Notre Dame, another, they are an ACC member there because it's not football.
Right.
And then Oklahoma, that's the powerhouse. They're going to take on Central Florida. Central Florida is a 16.
Cow.
Central Florida eliminated Michigan, Villanova, and South Dakota State. So all of this is going to get started, and I've already said if my Tigers can make it to the World Series, I may have to get that off my bucket list.
So, very nice. So who does Arizona play? You'd said something.
Arizona State, Northwestern.
Does Arizona not play?
Arizona.
I thought they did.
I think they got eliminated, or they were not in it. I'm flipping through, looking at the others. Wait a minute. I missed that. Arizona State, Mississippi State. Arizona and Mississippi State.
Okay, so
another powerhouse.
Okay, so yeah. So what's interesting is the left-hander that Arizona had I want to say a couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4. Man, holy cow!
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
pitch.
These girls have already. You used to not see it a lot, but it's becoming very common. These girls are in the low to mid 70s now.
Lanny,
on the mound.
What I always talk about is owning the plate. Like when you're a pitcher, a lot of people understand why you throw inside and maybe hit people and things like whatever. Well, let me tell you something. Watching a couple of these young ladies control the plate, dude, they're not afraid to get somebody like slap hit and stuff. They're not afraid to get them off the plate now.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
No,
I like it a lot.
When Addison was playing and she was pitching, it would bother her if she hit somebody. And this is when she was young. She was in the low 40s when she was playing. But and I said, look, that's just part of the game. If they're crowding the plate and you throw it in there, and I said, it ain't gonna bother anybody else to hit you when you're standing in the batter's box either. So that's just and to me in softball, it's a little more part of the game, and I don't think there's as much underlying meaning as sometimes there is in baseball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But to watch these girls and to watch them, pitch at the speeds that they pitch, and the other thing that amazes me, one of those things, and you see it in football, but you see it in girls softball. Don't matter what size you are. I saw some girls that I couldn't believe they could even have enough to get the ball out of the infield, just little bitty, and they could crank it. And then some girls that they got on base, they had to have a pinch runner, but they could play the game. They could hit the ball, and pitchers and catchers.
Love it.
So it's one of those things, and I say that because we kind of get in a mindset sometimes that we got to have this certain body style, whether it's baseball, football, whatever it is.
I agree.
And girls softball has made that change so much because if you can play, they don't care.
Critical moment here, of observation. High school football and basketball are the two worst at that. One of my dad's best basketball players looked like Ram Man off of He-Man. Okay? He looked like a block.
Let me tell you something.
Dude.
I played basketball all the way through my sophomore year and then switched from basketball to wrestling. I was not an attractive sight on a basketball court. First of all, this would have been mid-'70s when you still had the shorty shorts, basketball shorts.
They're back.
And let me tell you something. Basketball uniform did not do a good job fitting me. That was not, because I was a big boy. But, there was nothing else to play until I got to high school.
You had to stuff it in there.
But I'm just excited to see that happen. I think it's important to get away from this how you look thing, and I can contribute. Right. If I can contribute, I play. Yeah,
it's about making more.
And most
of
it is fans are brutal on it.
No, Well, I got one for you. But it's more about getting more out of what you've got than the style. Well, I talk about style of what something looks like. I mean, I remember a few years ago there was a kid, I was coaching up in the mountains, and there was a kid that had never played football before in his life, and he came out there, and he was a kid that had played soccer, but he was a little bigger kid, right? He didn't really look like he could play soccer real well either. But his feet were amazing. And that rascal ended up playing on the defensive line for us because his footwork was just incredible.
Right.
And then we taught him how to trap block.
Yeah.
He ended up being like an all-conference lineman.
Yeah.
And then I watched him play in the soccer, like he went out there and played soccer, like he kind of dueled it. He went out there and played in a playoff game, and I was like, it was amazing. So anyway, ninth grade, Valdez Junior High. Right, so East Burke was 10 through 12 when I was there, so we had junior highs kind of like you guys did. So ninth grade, I've got hair up here, look like Steve Perry from Journey. It's feathered back. I'm tall, about 140 pounds, same height as I am now, all right, a rail. But I was one hairy individual, right, coming into my man. Had them short shorts on, real tight jersey, just hair, right. So I see a pass getting ready to be made from the middle to the side, and I anticipated to go out there and I steal it, and I'm dribbling down the court. I got hair flapping everybody. Somebody in the stands at Hildebrand stands up and says, "Teen Wolf," like that. Dude, I went home and shaved everything. I have
shaved
eyebrows.
Your body.
No, dude, I have nothing left. My dad's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Never again." Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's okay. It's okay.
Teen Wolf.
It's okay.
Oh, that's about the time the movie came out. I was just sitting there and I was like,
I will tell you this, and we'll take a break. I played against and I coached some kids that had to have suspenders hooked to their football pants, and the suspenders were under their shoulder pads, okay, to keep their pants up.
Oh, my God.
That is a true story. Back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Fort Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
I apologize. I was playing with some settings, trying to get this fixed properly. We talk about athletes. Let me get some comments here before we go on. Wilson Boyd said, "Great to hear you guys talking college baseball." I enjoy college baseball. I'm not a major leaguer. I like college baseball. I'll watch it when it comes playoff time.
I hate I never got to coach him, man. That guy's a great player. That kid was a great player, man. Wilson, he's an amazing player.
Bob said Virginia Tech has an awesome pitcher.
Yeah, Bob's right.
Lindsay said, Twins again. Happy birthday, Stone Cold.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Todd said, Madison Herms, after she about killed somebody with the 55 fastball to the ribs, she should have moved. That's correct. Oh, and I forgot. Yeah, Lindsay said, remember when Wes tried to play basketball? That was a sight to behold. Well, Wesley's just a big old boy. Chad Mullis, high school heart and putting the kid in the right position to succeed can make the difference. Steve Lowe, good morning. Bill Klein, good morning.
His high school coach, Fred Lanford, basketball and baseball. And I have no doubt, and I think Coach Lanford maybe coached football for, a few years or whatever. But I'm going to tell you what, I got to know him when I got in, when I got in high school coaching or whatever, and I would always call Coach Lanford because I wanted my guys to play South Caldwell because I knew exactly what I was going to get. Okay, the opportunity to get and talk to him and just learn and listen and to really understand who he was and what he was about. Chad is right. Coach Lanford in basketball and baseball put the guys in the right spot. And he never asked them, which was – and Chad, I may be wrong, but he never asked them to really do more than what they were capable of doing. He just wanted them to live up to their full potential.
That's correct.
And his way of doing things and getting that message across, everybody has their own way of doing things. And he may have at times seemed cold but he was very direct. He was very honest. And he was just incredibly gracious. Like when I was a young coach, he spent time he didn't have to do that. He's like Marty Curtis. Marty did the same thing.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of what Chad's talking about, getting the guys that truly understand what it's about. They take time for the younger guys. They know how to put their guys in position. I just can't say enough about that, and I appreciate Chad bringing it up.
Yep.
That's a great point.
Well, I think sometimes you set kids up to fail when you impose your expectations on the kid,
right?
Instead of really evaluating, and all you're asking for is their max potential, not what you assume their max potential is. Because if you spend enough time with a kid, you should know where they're at as far as.
I completely agree.
And so I think you just can't set kids up to fail like that. You have to kind of take all that stuff.
And his basketball teams at South were always, in the top one or two. Maybe a year, 2, 3. But the point is, you're talking about Freedom, McDowell. All right, East Burke once every few years, at that time. Hickory, Alexander Central, and South Caldwell was right. I mean, they were 1 or 2. It was an incredible experience. Yeah, I went to East Burke, but playing against those guys and playing against Coach Lanford, they beat us a lot of times. But I got to tell you, I got more out of playing those guys and learning about what it's really about than it's kind of like playing Freedom with Terry Rogers. You really understood what competition was about and how you had to bring your best playing against him. Yeah, it's just neat. That's all.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this or ask you about this since we've been on. That is the Saban and Jimbo thing. And Mark Alton said, Mark must be hanging out with JR. He said, happy 65th to you four.
I feel like I'm 65. However, I am not.
And you're right, Chad. Coach your team's ability. Yeah. That's exactly. I used to have a little problem when I was coaching at West Lincoln, and we ran a wing T. And we were all required to read Tubby Raines, who was the inventor of the wing T at Delaware.
The doctor. Right. Delaware wing T.
And the thing you have to take into consideration, you may have some kids that can't do that.
So there were a couple of concepts and a couple of abilities that were needed to run a couple of those plays.
I mean, you got some fat boys. You got some fat boys that can't get there. I don't care how hard you want them to get there. That's just what you got to work with. You better figure out a different way to do it.
So having your guards as quick as split in sometimes is really good, right?
But going back to Jimbo and Saban, now. What this boils down to is Saban was in front of boosters.
Yeah.
This was a gathering in Birmingham.
Right.
And what he was trying to say was to encourage the boosters, look, y'all going to have to come up with more cash. Now, the only thing that I'll say where I think he made his first mistake is we don't buy players, okay? Now, let me just say, we don't buy players, yet his quarterback made over $1 million in NIL, but what he's saying with that was, well, we didn't tell him he was going to get that. Well, he's full of crap. Somebody told him, because that's not the way that it works. And the other side of it is, and this is where I didn't know the backstory that came into this.
Oh, yeah.
The Texas A&M and the Alabama thing goes back to the Bear.
It does.
The Bear was at both of those schools, and and I've told this story over and over. When I got interviewed by the NCAA, when they put Clemson on probation after 81, and I told them when they came and talked to me, I had nothing to tell them other than everybody does it. And the one comment that I made was, if Clemson had been a national power, you wouldn't be here. And if a national power had won the national championship, you wouldn't be talking to them. If Clemson had been 6-5, you wouldn't have been here talking to me. So when I say everybody does it, I can tell you firsthand, everybody does it. And nobody's going to tell me, and just like trying to cap the NIL, it's just going back under the table. Right. If you cap it, it's going back under the table because the cat's out of the bag.
Oh, it is. It is.
And
you can't put it back in.
You need to go ahead and figure it out.
Jenny's not going back in the bottle.
And here's the thing. Yeah. So what if Jimbo said, we have some NIL money that's available if you come to A&M?
Of course they do.
It's legal. It's
my,
legal.
My thing is Saban, to your point, did not lie. They do not buy the players. What he said is 100% true. However, we all know what that really means, okay, and how we phrase it, right? So technically what he said is true, but
technically nobody does.
And that's what I'm getting at, okay? And the whole point, like you said, was, look, if we want to stay number one, I need you to come with your checkbook.
That's right.
I need you whatever you need to do.
And here's the part that's hard to understand. People think, why don't you have to do that to Alabama? Because we got kids that are greedy and get it anywhere. I'm going to the highest bidder.
Now you can.
Yeah.
So this
he don't like that.
No. So he sees the benefit of the portal and the NLI from both, or whatever. He sees it from both angles. It's very important, to make sure that you've got stability with the people that are, on the 50-yard line and driving to the end zone, which are your older players, okay, while the young ones coming in, the ones receiving the opening kickoff, are being taken care of as well and developed, because that talent is very unlikely to leave because of the situation. So instead of having you wait on the portal to open up to get it, he wants to go ahead and get it and start grooming it so they can continue to be a top 3 and 4 team and win national championship once out every 2 to 4 years. Well, that's where that's coming from. And the whole thing with him and Jimbo, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, this is fantastic for college football.
And Jimbo played for him
and coached for him. Okay, so you got to understand.
Now let me ask you, and I think this is correct. Wasn't Jimbo on Saban's staff at LSU?
He was. That is correct.
As the head coach in waiting kind of thing before he went to Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those that it kind of goes without saying, but that's what kind of the way things are going to happen. What's interesting to me is that Florida State allowed him to leave. And what I mean by allowed him to, they did not give him everything that he needed, and he told them, and it was very clear, especially if you read between the lines in the exit interviews,
right?
And, talking and all these things. He told them, if you do not immediately, and I mean immediately, upgrade everything about this facility and about this place and what these kids are coming in, it's a new world, it's a new age. Twitter, everything. Put the jersey on, take the picture. If you don't upgrade immediately, we're going nowhere. Guess what's happened since he's left?
They
followed a couple narratives that maybe were popular in. I don't know, but all I know is it ain't working. Okay, it ain't working.
Here's some other comments that have come in. Jimbo said he is done with Saban, and he probably is.
Well, of course, he is now.
Mark says Spurrier wants to know what part of what Nick said about Jimbo and Texas A&M was not true. There's nothing that's not true about it. It's just nobody wants to address it.
Right, and to Mark's point, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, everybody has a different way of – I say a different way. Everybody kind of has their way of looking at it, saying, well, they're buying players and doing this. Technically, they are not under the rules. But you and I and everybody else, when we say that, we know what we –
And the reason is because it has nothing to do with the school. The 100%. Money's not coming from the school. That's why the schools didn't fight this.
But the schools are setting up the opportunity for the money to come in, and that's where the whole problem is. Yep. And that's why it has to be.
I think the schools don't like it because they're not getting a piece of that pie too.
Well, the whole problem with this is it's like one of these things where, like, Henry Ford starts – a terrible example, but I'm going to give it anyway. Just follow it. Henry Ford starts a company. Everybody wants to come in and change things. He's like, nope, we do the Model T and we do it better than anybody else, and this is what we're going to do. And despite all of the people that were surrounding him, advisors, everybody told him, said, you've got to adapt what you're doing or you're going to die. He said, no, we're just going to do what we do and make it better. It's still going to be the same boring thing, same thing, but we're going to make it better internally. He didn't go outside. He didn't, bring in all these new innovative engineers. And the Model T still, came out and was obviously probably the most successful car, I say in history, but because, short life automobiles. But the point behind it is he didn't allow the wow factor to come in because he decided to be really good at what he did. And what he allowed to happen was his substance to create his style of the Ford branding company and then go on. That's kind of where we call them old coaches. It's more about experience because age is really not there is a
coaching maturity is basically what it is.
Because I'm going to tell you,
not
when at
logical
30,
age.
Well, at 30 years old, I already had 7-8 years of being a head baseball coach. At 30, or it's not, whatever it was, not whatever. But the point is, I may have been young, but I had a lot more years than most guys around that were in their 40s and 50s. And, probably had a little bit more
practical years.
But again, this is what this falls back on. And that's why what I'm telling you is not going to be sustainable for college football, and they've got to fix it. And the only way to fix it is to nix it. And the genie's out of the bottle. It's going to be hard to cut the head off the genie.
You can't do it. Yeah, he also threw Coach Prime and the player that committed to Jackson State out there too, so we may not see more Aflac commercials.
If we do, somebody could be stomping on the duck.
And Andrew said the kid at Alabama made his money before he ever played a game. Yeah, that was, I don't know why he did that. Brian said it was great points. That I've been telling people the same thing about what's going on with high school football, especially in Charlotte. They are all doing it. And Andrew said Saban was definitely a pot calling the kettle black.
Yes,
like Tonto used to say, man speaketh with forked tongue. The problem with what Saban did is Saban was trying to get his message across to his boosters. He just didn't do a good job of it.
Oh.
That was the point. He was telling the boosters, look, you're going to have to come up with more cash because everybody else is doing it.
So think about this. That guy plays chess, right? So the way that he was able to point the boosters out and call them out, but deflect onto somebody else was brilliant. He's calling out his boosters. Now what's everybody talking about? They talking about him calling his boosters out? They talking about Dion.
He needed
Jimbo,
a better script writer.
And he doesn't
needed.
care.
Yeah.
He doesn't need Jimbo Fisher in his life.
He needed a better script writer. That was the problem.
I'm sure that they got history and they go way back, but you know what? Every chapter closes at some point, and everything ends badly or it wouldn't end.
That's right.
And that's just a fact of life. And I hate it, and I'm not Debbie Downer here. I'm just saying things work their course. God
That's
bless
what it
them.
is.
But I'm going to tell you what, that was one of the best. Hey, look at this left hand while that right hand's over here smacking. Incredible.
Mark said, personally, I love the bickering and infighting between SEC schools. We don't cheat. You cheat. It's like watching two old men fight over a bowl of soup.
It's the truth.
And Hobbs, good morning to you. Hobbs said the South Caldwell program was built with a certain attitude from Red in football, Fred in basketball and baseball, and now the second wave of coaches, consistency. Said he covered South Caldwell when it opened with Red, and Phil at South Caldwell today is the same as it was in 1977. They win because they work. That's right. If you're still around from that long ago, South Caldwell, still South Caldwell, that Red and Fred built.
Yeah.
Now, he's talking about Red Kirkpatrick. Yeah, Donnie's
Coach Kirkpatrick, yeah. And he did.
Old Granite Falls guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and embedded in the community. Hudson, Granite Falls, it just – there's just and I have a lot of really good friends from there. And, I competed against all these guys and everything, but – I got to tell you, man, really, really good community, and they knew they had purpose and passion. And, we competed hard against each other, probably fought a couple of times, probably punched each other, maybe even quietly cussed each other a little bit, but in a competitive way, not a personal way. And the thing that I appreciate, Chad especially, like playing against him and, Darren and Scott Parham and all these guys. The thing I appreciate about them is when the game was over, it meant something to me to play against them. And that I'll take that with me the rest of my life.
Now,
I love those guys, man. They beat our ass all the time, and I loved them.
Prior to South Caldwell, it was Granite Falls.
Right, and then Hudson,
just so you know,
yeah.
Granite Falls, they rocked the suspenders on the football pants because they had some big boys.
They had them as well.
We called them the Tush Hogs.
Oh, you know, Coach Brown has said something to me years ago.
Holy God.
He said go up there and they said they had the biggest kids.
I'll tell you. This is honest God truth. We ran an I formation in split back pro type offense.
Right.
And we had a tackle trap. I would pull.
Sure.
Okay? And trap the backside tackle. I'm here to tell you, I'd have full head of steam up, and them big old boys would just step across and stand, and I could hit them as hard as I could hit them, and they would just jiggle. They didn't do anything. You didn't move them.
Yeah,
no.
Right.
This was back in the day. These were 350-plus boys.
Oh,
and that was across the front. And I wished I could remember, and I'm trying to think, somebody brought me a program from a Granite Falls, West Lincoln football game, a high school program. I've got it, and I cannot remember who brought it to me. Someone brought it at church. And there was another guy. He was a fullback that they had, a big, blonde, curly-headed guy. He was huge. He was a bruiser too. And then we last year we played him was my junior year because South opened the next year when everything
I'll
shut down.
give you an example of this. This is crazy. This is how deep I'm into that community with these guys. Girl I dated in high school, her dad, Wayne Annis, was from – you may have played against him – was from Granite Falls, okay? And, of course, we lived in Valdez, Rutherford College, and we all went to East Burke or whatever. So I wasn't even driving yet. And I would go with her because she would babysit who's now the softball coach at South Caldwell, Casey Justice. So I'd go with her, and then I'd have her drop me off over the gym at Granite Falls so I could play pickup ball with, Chad and the guys or, whatever, like Scott Britton, some of the other – he's an umpire. I got to know all these guys. Through her and her family being over there. And what's crazy is I remember Casey, he was like 3 months old first time we babysat him, right? And I just kept going back over there. I mean, it was just getting to know those people, right? Great place. I'd see Coach Lanford a couple of times, even when I was a kid, and that guy, as stern and as straightforward as he was, he would always say, "Hello, Fort Rembert." Say, "Hey, Coach Lanford." He'd say, "How's your father?" He was really good I didn't even know it. He was really good friends with my dad.
Yeah.
Like Marty Curtis is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, it was great, man. I love that community. Yeah. Wonderful people.
Mark said if there's anyone listening or watching this show that thinks that Saban operates above board, he's got some oceanfront property in Nebraska that he'd like to help you with. Richie said, did anybody know the All-Star race was this past weekend? Yeah, everybody knew, but they didn't care. That was the problem, Richie, because they moved it out of Charlotte. That was the biggest thing. They moved it out of Charlotte. Chris said that the perfect storm, Granite had star juniors and Hudson had a solid team, and Red meshed them into one of the best high school football teams in the area. Yeah. May well be one of the top three. 96 in Hickory. Debate which maiden is number 2, and then 77 South Caldwell.
I've heard that.
Dan Hardy would have been on that team. Donnie Kirkpatrick would have been the quarterback because we were all the same age.
Right.
Mark said concrete was softer than the old Granite Falls football field. Well, there wasn't a football field, Mark. It was a baseball field at MS Deal Stadium, and awesome. You played in the dirt, and you dressed in water downstairs. You dressed in downstairs in the basement, and there was always water in the floor.
Right?
Yeah. I remember it vividly.
Awesome, dude. We go over and play Legion games, right? I played Burke County, Legion, and, of course, my coach at Hickory. Great setting. Love to park. Fight your way out of there every night, win, lose, or draw. Crazy stuff. Best time ever. The smell of the park, the feel of the history on the field, not just baseball, but the football aspect of it. Right field's like 390 feet. Center field's like 360. Left field's 320. Football field on a baseball field. Awesome place. Fantastic, man. Great memories. Love it. Great competition.
I do want to mention this, too. This is not I don't think this is official yet. But the Mountain West Conference has dropped divisions now since the NCAA does not require the championship game, or not requiring the divisional championship game.
Oh, to
you
be
can take the top 2 teams.
Right.
Okay, and the ACC was discussing that, but I haven't seen anything. And I think you're going to see all of these conferences get away from that, so you can have a little more competition.
I tell you, I think the issue they're going to have is, and it's not an issue, but I think what they're going to start playing is matchmaker, make me a match. Okay, and what I mean by that is they're going to start scheduling conference games based on who they think the top 2 teams will be, and not have them play each other during that season.
Well, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to stop scheduling 10 years out.
That's my point. It's going to be
from.
year to year.
They could have kept the divisions if they would have been adjusting the divisions every 2 years. After you do a home and home, adjust those divisions.
Well, I think, too, the NCAA, they say they're not a ruling body, they're a governing body, right? Because the rules are made up by the president.
And they have no real power.
And that's what I'm saying, until they want to. And then they come in and give you death penalties and things like that. My thing is this. If you're going to have a set of rules, you got to have somebody that's the ultimate authority, okay? And a body of people is great to help make decisions, but there's got to be one person that's accountable. And that way, right or wrong, you got somebody to go to, and then, if it's bad enough, you can get them ousted, okay? If they're selfish and not doing what's right and doing it for their benefit or the benefit of, one school or whatever, right? You get them out, all right, where you can't get a body out, all right? So that's the difference. That's why I love the way that, elections work and, things like that, like in towns and like local elections with, like school boards and stuff like that, right? How they can hire, and there's one person that's in charge, and that board's responsible for that person. So I think that's great. The point of all this is that I really believe that they should put a cap on the number of teams inside a conference.
Right.
Like you had
16 is way too many.
Yeah, well, I understand the mega conference, and you can have conference affiliations with people, and and the rivalries between conferences are great, but they're not as great when you have 16 teams in it, because you can't go out of conference to play somebody like you see Nebraska and Michigan play, right?
The problem is they didn't think about the logistical impact.
Yes.
They only saw the money of getting the TV dollars from the conference,
Maryland,
because the conference was so big.
Amen, brother.
They didn't. They never thought, and that's the part that bothers me. I have no problem with money. Okay, buy all you want to, but have
Money's
a little forethought. Have a little forethought on how it's going to physically, logistically work, and does it work to the benefit of everybody involved? Because it's still got to be a decent product that you put out on the field, or the court. And if you don't, then it doesn't work right.
100%.
Richie said Pac-12 is going to have divisions, but they'll take the 2 best winning percentages to the championship game. Then they don't need divisions. Mark said Hobbs is dropping the knowledge bombs this morning. Loves it. Hobbs said Joe Davis, wide receiver, 80-plus catches at South Caldwell, about 6'4", could run, had great hands. Last game by Granite Falls, home versus St. Stephen's, down 12 points, 5.5 to go. Kirkpatrick to Davis, same throw twice. Granite Falls wins. Donnie could play, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Hobbs said Joe and Donnie were the junior stars at Granite Falls, plus Hardy, Dan. There were at least 10 others from Granite Falls, and Hudson had the other elements. South Caldwell was just tough that year. Richie said the only people that had a better winning percentage than Alabama football are the people that have sued the NCAA. That's a great comment, Richie. I will say this. When I was a junior in high school, I had switched over to wrestling. I didn't have anybody my size to wrestle with at West Lincoln. So my coach would send me to the old Hudson High School. And, Chris, you'll remember this. Fred Byers was the wrestling coach at Hudson. Fred had been at West Lincoln previously, so there was a connection there.
Yeah.
So my coach would send me to Hudson to wrestle, to practice. I'd go up there and practice with Fred's heavyweight.
Fantastic.
So I remember the old Hudson High School. And, of course, Dan was he gave me my first job in football. Dan Hardy did at West Lincoln.
Yeah, Coach Hardy.
And then he left 2 weeks after he gave me a job. I went back to South Caldwell.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Michael White, we talk about that quite often.
Yeah.
Michael was out there with you that time.
Michael was on staff then too. Yeah, sure was. let's see if there was anything else. I have not. I'll be honest with you. I have not watched very much of the USFL because I've been glued to softball.
Well, yeah,
softball will have to end up before I can switch back over because that's a really short window that I get my softball, and I don't like to miss it. Do not like to miss it at all. I want to watch it. There are NBA playoffs going on, and I don't have a dog in the hunt. I haven't kept up with it at all.
Next.
The only thing that I can tell you is that
hey, the world's in chaos. Things are okay. We're not hearing anything about anybody right now. The world's in chaos. Great job.
Mitch Kupchak has been retained and got an extension as the general manager of the Charlotte Hornets, and I don't think it'll make a difference. I don't care if he did build the Lakers into a championship team. He can't do it in Charlotte. Write it down. Make me eat these words. That's what I want you to do. I want you to make me eat these words. He can't build a championship team in Charlotte because the commitment's not there from the organization.
There's not
I've said
more. I'm not even going to get into it, but these China. I'm not even going to get into it.
Okay, we'll switch gears. It's okay.
Hold on.
We'll switch gears. Have a do. We'll switch gears. This was a headline that I saw come down over the weekend that I was kind of surprised. The Browns have reached a deal to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney. I think Jadeveon Clowney is done. I don't think he's got enough left.
Imagine the money, like all the promise that we saw with him coming out of high school, going to South Carolina, how quick he was coming off the end. If there's ever been a true defensive end that's coming out of high school, right, and going into college football, it's that guy. From day one, he's impact. And then all of a sudden, what's he start doing? Well, I'm not playing today. Coach Spurrier is Clowney playing. Well, he's supposed to be. I don't know. What's he doing? He's standing over. I don't know anything about it. Okay. Why in the world would you invest all that money into somebody that –
He was the first player that wanted to hold out because of the possibility of injury going into the draft.
Okay, so –
if I'm not mistaken.
There's a lot of – validity to that, okay? You've got a chance to do this, and I'm not what I'm saying is there's a pattern. The problem I have is not the money that he makes. He gets what he gets, and that's great. But why would you reinvest into something, the signing of something that is just unrealized?
Well, they got a deal on it. Brandon said he took less money from Cleveland to stay. I just, he's going to be – he's going to be – right.
Point,
and that's where I think – I don't know that he had any other offers on the table.
Cost it is to move.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know that he had that many offers on the table.
And, all this other crap that goes with playing the game.
Yep. Two owners in Charlotte that have a lot of other interest in the teams are paying for it. That would be the Panthers and the Hornets. One final comment question before we wind up. Could guaranteed NFL contracts become the norm? Why it's difficult, how Deshaun Watson's $230 million deal adds momentum. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Incredible.
Now, this is life according to Lanny, okay? I'll go ahead and tell you. I think you're going to go to guaranteed contracts. But here's the thing that I think players are not going to like. You're going to have guaranteed contracts, but they're going to be like the NBA does. They're going to be a two-year contract. Second year's a player option or team option. You're not going to see these long-term contracts not to the kind of money that they want because the risk of that contract not being fulfilled is too great because of injury. But I think you're going to see some guaranteed contracts. It's going to be less money. It's going to be shorter term, but I think you're going to start seeing it.
Lanny, imagine all the money that the Cleveland Browns have invested into quarterbacks over the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
It is absurd. It is embarrassing. And it hadn't gotten them anywhere.
Here's a couple of comments. Let me give you this. This was Dan Graziano, article he did for ESPN. He said, when Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam decided in March to throw a Hail Mary with his checkbook. That's as good a comment as you can get.
Yes, it is.
fully guaranteed, 5-year, $230 million, fully guaranteed. Baltimore Ravens team owner Steve Biscotti said, I wish they hadn't guaranteed the whole contract. And here's the problem. As I've said with a lot of other things, the precedent has been set. Just like the NIL, the genie's out of the bottle. That's exactly right. So what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. They've already done it. That precedent is set. I just don't think you have people walking away from it.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And mark my words, Cleveland is going to be the same.
Mm-hmm. Nope. I think you're right.
There's not going to be any change.
I think you're right. And I think it's a lot of that's ownership on top of that. All right. Have a great day. Dodge the raindrops. Talk about rain about lunchtime. Thunderstorm this afternoon. Juju and I'll be back at 6 tonight. We will be in studio. Hopefully you can join us. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by and happy birthday.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
See you,
Thank
bud.
you.